Homeschooling is hard, really hard, hard. Homeschooling's hard. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It is a hard thing. It is a challenge. It is a commitment. It is not something you can kind of go back and forth on. Oh, I'm gonna homeschool today. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll send them to school today. No, it's like a commitment. You choose to homeschool, you're gonna homeschool. There's a lot of times on social media, I feel like you see the positive side of things. Even on my channel, a lot of times I talk about the great things of homeschooling and I don't talk about the negative parts. And I felt like it was about time to talk about the negative parts. Kind of like with right now, like in this little section of my house, doesn't it look nice and clean? It just looks so nice. Oh, she must have a clean house and everything looks great. Okay, I'm not gonna show you, but my counter right there, if I were to turn the camera, there's a sink full of dishes. There's stuff all over the counter. The rest of the house is fairly clean because we just had guests over a couple days ago, but you don't get to see both sides of things. A lot of times on social media, everything looks happy and bubbly and rainbows and unicorns. It's not like that all the time. Are there times where it feels like unicorns and rainbows? Yeah, there are, but it's not always like that. So I'm just gonna make you aware of the realness of homeschooling. I have a friend who's gonna be joining us today. Her name is Flipside Florence, and she's just gonna give you kind of the positive side after I share the real negative kind of nitty-gritty side, just so that we can have a nice, well-balanced discussion. You'll be hearing from her from time to time, but let's get going. So first thing, I am working on Easter baskets because tomorrow's Easter. I have all my stuff right here and I have not had time to put everything together. I actually just got back from getting the last couple things that I needed. So I'm gonna be working on that while we're talking. So you can feel free to work on something too while you're listening to me. And this goes with the first negative of homeschooling. So the first negative of homeschooling is you're never alone. You're like never alone. So if you're someone who likes your alone time, you will have to be intentional and make sure you carve out your alone time. Otherwise, there's people around all the time. Now, for my family, it's even more magnified because my husband is retired. So not only do I have my kids around me all the time, my husband's around, the puppy's around, everybody's always around. So it is difficult to not have alone time. I would not necessarily call myself an introvert, but I think I'm a mix between an introvert and an extrovert because I do get like pumped on hanging out with people and stuff like that, but I also, I need some alone time. I mean, I think everybody needs some alone time. So I'm thrifty too. So this is a little mix. I decided this year, I try to get the kids some sort of basket that they can use. I don't know if I've ever really used like an Easter basket, you know, with the grass in it. We always use something practical so that I'm not wasting money on something I have to store or throw away. So this year I decided, I went to Dollar Tree and they had these cute little pots. So I got everybody a pot and that is gonna be their Easter basket. And also they have these super cute little guys that hang on the outside of the pot. So that is how they'll know whose is whose. Aren't those cute? And to make it a homeschooling thing, of course, I bought everybody some flowers. So they are going to, everybody will have their own little packet of flowers and I'm gonna challenge everybody to grow something because I can't grow anything for my life. I have a pot right here that's actually surprisingly kind of still alive, but kind of dead. But I don't know. I have really bad luck when it comes to growing stuff. That's why I'm putting these in flower pots if you're like, what is she doing? So that's the first negative, I would say. I would say it's really hard to be around people all the time. And I just have to be really intentional on making sure. There have been times where my husband, when he used to work, he would come home and he's like, oh, she had like a rough day. And there was a time, I think I've shared before on here, that he was like, hey, here, I've got $8 in cash. Go take an hour and go to the thrift store and just take some time for yourself, which was a huge blessing. And if you know me, I can make $8 stretch. I was excited. And I was like, I needed the break so that I could come back and enjoy the family again. So I would say it's something that you have to be intentional and make sure you take breaks. So I usually stay up till about 1 in the morning to have my me time because at the moment, that's the only time I'm alone is once everybody's in bed. I wouldn't say that's the healthiest thing to do, but that's what I do. But you do have to find what works for you and make sure you get your time for yourself. Wait a minute, hold on. Flipside Francis here. Here's the other side of the story. I went to public school my whole life growing up, okay? My dad worked, my mom worked multiple jobs. So if I'm remembering correctly, I didn't see them a whole lot. A lot of times in the afternoons, it was me and my brother and my sister, and we kind of did our own thing. So I do know that the sibling bonding that Toni's kids have, I didn't have growing up. We were not that close. We kind of did our own thing during the day because we went to different classrooms, sometimes different schools. Having your alone time is great, but there's things that you miss out on sending your kids to school. You don't get that time together that I wish I had had with my parents, that bonding time that I've seen in Toni and her kids, that they really have this closeness that I wish we had had. So there's two sides to every story. These are so cute. Look at this. Isn't that cute? So they just hang on the outside. Oh, look at the little frog. Isn't that cute? Okay. I always hide our Easter baskets. So I'll probably tell each person, like, you're looking for the bumblebee or you're looking for the turtle or whatever. All the stuff that I got for their Easter baskets is thrifted. So shocker. This was neat. A national parks Yahtzee game, and we just did a big trip out west and saw a bunch of the national parks. So I was like, oh, this will be so cool. So I'm gonna give this to my second oldest. The second thing that comes to my mind for what's hard about homeschooling is, it kind of piggybacks off the first one, but the second one is, it's easy to lose your identity and to have everything about you revolve around homeschooling. I would say my picture, if I were to picture two moms, one is a homeschooling mom, one is a mom whose kids go to school. This is totally exaggerated, so don't be offended if you're either. But the homeschooling mom is probably frazzled. I still do my makeup and hair every day. I'm not saying she looks like a slob, but she looks frazzled, okay? She's comfortable. She's probably wearing jeans. The homeschool mom might be wearing jammies. She might be wearing jeans. She's got a cup of coffee. I usually have Mountain Dew or iced tea. She's got some sort of sustenance in her hand to keep going. And then I also see the mom whose kids are in school. She drops her kids off. She throws on her yoga pants and her cute little workout shirt. She puts her hair up in a messy bun. She goes to Target. I don't know if she actually goes to the gym, but she has time to go to the gym, in my opinion. Don't be offended. She goes to Target and shops, and she's got her little Starbucks, and she walks around and buys whatever she needs. And she has all this time to herself. She goes home to her already clean house, but does have to do a little bit of dishes, clean up from breakfast, but then everything's spick and span again. So those are my two like pictures, which obviously which one sounds a little more stressed? The homeschool mom. Now I know there's a lot of times there's moms who have to work. You may not actually have the time to go to the gym because maybe you work while your kids are in school. We live in an area where a lot of times the mom stays home. It's a cheaper area it's a cheaper place to live. The cost of living is not insane like some other places like where I grew up. But that's kind of the way I see it. And so for me, it's easier for the mom who's got that time to herself, whether she does work, whether she goes to Target, whether she goes to the gym to work out, whether she sits and crochets all day. I don't know. She's got that time for herself. It's really hard as a homeschool mom to carve out that time to do stuff for you. A lot of times I feel like if I want to do stuff for me, it has to happen like late at night or maybe on a Saturday, but really everybody's still around on Saturdays. The only reason I am by myself, by the way, I was gonna mention this in the first thing. The only reason I'm by myself is because we own an inn. My husband had to clean the inn and he asked our girls to help. And I had a bunch of stuff I had to do, including filming a video and a bunch of other stuff. So I asked the grandparents if they wanted some time with my son. So they picked up my son. So I only have a couple hours. I am kind of rushing around to get everything done. It's hard to have time to yourself. That's the only reason I have a quiet house right now. I got this for my son. It was $3.50, and it's just a whole bag full of animals. And like, I don't know what that is. Is that a bird's nest maybe? But there's a bunch of little animals. So I'm gonna put that in his Easter basket. There's even a fence. Cute. So to me, it's really hard, and you have to be so intentional about doing the stuff that you like to do. If you like to sew or crochet or whatever it is you like to do, you have to carve out that time. And a lot of times for me, I do a full school day with my kids. because my husband is out on disability, he doesn't drive much. So during like sports seasons, I'm driving everyone to everything, and I don't have time for myself, period. Like, unless I sit in the car and read, that's like the only time. But even when it comes to reading, I feel like I don't ever really get that time to myself. So it's hard. It's really hard. So that's something that I don't think that once you start homeschooling, like you'll have, oh, I have all this free time in the afternoon or whatever. You might, if your kids aren't in sports yet, you might. We have just finished a very busy season of sports, and we just, free time was not a thing. It was kind of insane. You have to make sure you don't lose your identity. If you put all your identity in homeschooling and you don't ever have the opportunity to carve out time for yourself, time for what you love and what you need to do, then you're gonna feel lost and it's gonna suffocate you. So that is a really hard thing. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I guess in a way, it's just all in how you look at it. You can look at it like, oh, I lost my identity. Oh, I'm just a homeschool mom. Or you could look at it like, what a cool thing to be a homeschool mom. It's a cool new identity God has given me, and I love it. And I think it's great. I love telling people that I'm a homeschooling mom because in this day and age, it's very accepted, and there's a lot, at least where we live, there's a lot of homeschool moms in the area, and there's co-ops and all kinds of stuff. So really, it's not a bad identity. So yes, things change. You're not gonna be the same as you were when you were young and single and you could do your own thing and you were a hiker or a ice cream maker or whatever you were, but it's cool to be a homeschool mom. So I think it's fine. So it's just in all you, it's in how you look at it. Glass half full, glass half empty. Our library always has a book sale where it's fill a bag for $2. So I filled a bag for $2 and got a bunch of books to put in my kids' Easter baskets. And this goes along with another thing that is hard with homeschooling. All of these things are kind of in general, but it doesn't happen with every family. Because I'm sure there's homeschool families that the opposite of this is going to be, they have loads of money. Maybe the husband has this super amazing job where he makes over $100,000 a year and I don't know, whatever. And they have tons of money. Great for them. In general, I think it's a struggle to be a homeschool mom. Because you're working with one income, in general, I know that sometimes people do 2 incomes. Sometimes there's moms that work. I know some of you guys work. Honestly, I don't know how they do it because I just feel so stretched as it is. But there are moms that have to work and who do work, and it does happen sometimes. But money is always tight, I feel like. Because you're on one income, money is tight. And that is kind of difficult. It can be an adjustment. Now, I grew up not having a whole lot of money. My husband grew up not having a whole lot of money. So it's not the end of the world for us because we've never lived in any sort of affluent lifestyle, really. I already thrifted growing up. I don't mind thrifting now. And I'm just teaching my kids that thrifting is cool. Thrifting is fun. It is a struggle if you haven't been used to that. Let's say you worked, your husband worked, then you had kids, you decide to homeschool, and now all of a sudden, you have one income and it's like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't just go shopping for whatever. No, your Easter basket needs to all come from the thrift store or the library or whatever. It can be a challenge if you're not used to that. And if you're not willing to sacrifice in those ways, it can be hard. Curriculum is expensive. There are ways to find it cheap. There are ways to find it used and different things like that. But there are also times where it is a lot. It is expensive. And if you didn't save up throughout the year and all of a sudden you have, you know, I don't know how, I'm not even going to throw out a number because I don't know, but especially the older they get for high school, man, it can be expensive. And that's hard when you've only got one income. And for us, it's even harder because my husband's out on disability. So it's not even a full income, and it is trying. It is very, very difficult, period. Okay, I hear ya, but again, I think it's in how you look at it. It is hard when you don't have enough money, but how cool is that to be able to teach your kids and teach yourself how to be a good steward of the money God's given you? He hasn't given you very much. Can you make it last? Can you do your best and maybe challenge yourself to make cheaper meals or thrift? Thrifting's the best, right? Ask Toni, she knows. Thrifting is great. Find ways to still provide for your family, but in a cheaper way. So being a good steward of God's money and the money that he's given us is a positive thing. It may be more challenging, but who wants a life where you get whatever you want, your kids get whatever they want, then you end up with entitled kids who really never say thank you. When your kids have to work for stuff or they have to wait for stuff and they have to go on almost like a treasure hunt to find what they need, that's a good quality. That's the kind of quality I think most husbands would want in a wife, rather than the wife that gets whatever she wants, and the other way around. A wife is not gonna want a husband who's gonna waste all her money. She's gonna want a husband who is smart with his money and wise, and the only way to do that is when you don't have a whole lot of money. So it's actually a good thing. Okay, I usually don't do stuffed animals unless they're new, but I found these were, what were they? These were either 25 cents or 50 cents at the thrift store, and it was just cute. That's a really long, tall avocado. All looked brand new, and I kind of did a green theme. I've got a little dinosaur, another little dinosaur guy, and then, I don't know, I think it's a squirrel, a little squirrel, but they all looked new and cute, and I never buy them stuffed animals anymore, especially my big girls, so I just thought that would be cute. The fourth thing that is super, super hard is you will see the worst of your kids and your kids will see the worst of you. You will lose patience with your kids. When you're teaching that concept about nouns and verbs to your second grader for the 900th time, and they go to their test and they say, hey mom, what's a verb? And you wanna jump out the window. You will be tried. They will see you frustrated. You will see them frustrated. You will see them in tears. There's so many hard things about homeschooling because it's not easy. When you send your kids to school, I'm sure you see difficult times. I'm sure you see in homework, oh, they're struggling with this and stuff like that. But when you're homeschooling, you're the one who's trying to teach it. And if you don't teach the concept the way that they need it to be taught, they're not going to learn it. Like, it's all up to you. It's hard. It's really, really hard. The noun and verb thing is a real thing because that's what hit us this week. And I don't know why. My son, like, he seemed to really be getting it and he knows what it is. But there's days where he just, it's like he wakes up and everything that he has been learning for the last month stayed on his pillow and he doesn't remember anything. I told you guys I was gonna put chapstick in this in my last video, but I forgot to buy chapsticks. There's no chapstick in it. So I would say the hard days, the times when they're struggling with what they're learning, stuff like that, that is one of the hardest parts of homeschooling. When you think, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to help them. I don't know how to teach this any different, and you feel like giving up. Those are some of the hardest days. And if you're not committed and you're not like, I'm going to push through no matter what, you're going to crumble. So that's hard. Okay, you know what? That's true. But you also get to realize that you are so much stronger than you ever thought you were. When you are put in these challenging situations and you're pushed to do things you never thought you'd be able to do and teach things to someone that you never think is going to get it, what kind of character qualities is that building in you? And here's the coolest part. When you see that light bulb go off, when you've taught the same thing over and over for months and months, and then that light bulb goes off in that kid, best thing ever. Best thing ever. So that has happened with each of my kids. With reading, that is one of the coolest things. You may be sitting there thinking, my kid is never going to learn how to read. And then they finally learn it, and it is the most amazing feeling because you helped in that process. You taught your kid how to read. You taught them those math facts. You taught them what the difference is a noun and a verb. And when they get it, you're going to feel this feeling that you never thought you'd feel. It is amazing. So embrace it. You are stronger than you think you are. Here are the finished baskets. So I've got my oldest with the cute little bumblebee. I got her a new pair of jammies, well, new from the thrift store, but something she'd been asking for. 2 books and a new nail polish. There's my son's. I got him some fun toys, dinosaurs. In the bottom are all those animals, but I had to kind of stick them in, and he's got the little froggy here. There's my my second oldest girl. She's got 2 books, and I call her Lulu And this book is called Lulu is Getting a Sister. It was so cute. I don't even know if it was just so cute that it had her name with it. So there's her little basket, and there is my youngest daughter. She's got her little ladybug. She's got a dinosaur. I found her a bunch of cute books that she likes, Cupcake Girls or something like that. There was a whole set there, the Cupcake Club. And then they're all getting something else that I'll show you now. My time has run out. The family's home. I'm gonna real quick assemble the last bit for their Easter baskets, which is the candy. So I'm using these cute little containers to put their candy in, so they'll get their basket and they'll get this little container of candy. So let's fill those up. So you've heard from me and you've heard from Flipside Florence. You know that there are hard things about homeschooling and there are good, amazing things about homeschooling. So if you're committed, it's worth all the hard stuff. That is my conclusion. I have had so many tears over the years over homeschooling. So have my kids. It has been hard. Have I ever been tempted to send them to school? Absolutely. I do know that there's a large group of us who feel like this is what God has called us to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So no matter how hard it is, as long as I'm able, I'm going to homeschool. The reality of it is this: when you've been tested to the point that I have in the last year because of my husband being out on disability, I've talked about it a little bit here and there. He's not able to work anymore. We are on such a tight budget. There have been, I think, honestly, there's only been 2 times. One was recent, like last week, and one was last year, where he said, I'm concerned. I think one of us may have to go get a job. That's his nice way of saying you may need to go get a job because he can't actually work. It broke my heart because I know that this is what I've been called to do. I know that as frustrating as it is sometimes trying to teach a child that's just not getting it, or as, you know, lonely as it may feel sometimes, it's really not that lonely because I'm in co-ops, because I'm in church, I have friends. It doesn't have to be lonely, but sometimes you may feel that way. But because even though there's days that are so hard and I'm like, I can't do this anymore, when it actually has been put in front of me that, hey, this might get taken away. You might not get to do this anymore. I know deep down in my heart, I will do whatever it takes. I will cut back wherever I have to cut back. I told him if we have to sell our inn so that I can keep homeschooling, I would do that. And the inn has been something that's kind of been a dream of mine for a long time. I feel like we've been in that like Job stage for a few years, and it has been super hard. Something I never thought we'd go through, but God's getting us through it. And at the moment, he said, I think we're going to be fine to be able to homeschool, but we're going to have to cut back. And that's okay. It's worth it. These years, as everybody always says, these years are short. This is worth it. If this is something you've been called to do, just acknowledge that it's hard and give yourself some credit, give yourself space to be you, to have time for you, to feed yourself spiritually, to feed yourself with friends, with alone time, whatever you need so that you can continue homeschooling. And if you're not called to homeschool, if you watch this video and you're like, man, I'm glad she said that, there's no way I could ever do that, that's fine too. Some of my best friends have kids in school. They do not homeschool. They've never homeschooled. I love them. I don't care. If you homeschool, yeah, there's a cool connection there, but I can also have amazing connections with friends that don't homeschool. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you're like, she's saying that I'm a bad person if I don't homeschool. Absolutely not. If you have not been called to homeschool and God has other plans for you and your kids are supposed to be, whether it's in a Christian school or public school, then you do what you're supposed to do as a mom for those kids for the time that you have them. And we're all called to different things. So I'm fine with that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking to the moms that feel like, hey, this is hard, but this is what I'm supposed to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please share this with your friends. If you know someone that may be encouraged by this, I would appreciate it if you'd share it with them. Like this video if you did like it, and please subscribe so that you can stick around and hear all my homeschooling encouragement, failures, tips. I share it all, as well as thrifty stuff and mom life. So if you like that kind of stuff, please stick around. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.